welcome back to Dees TV. I think we're live. I think so. Anyway, let me know in the little chat box if you're there and what is going on. And I've got this horrible feeling because I haven't got a chat box that I've done that age-old thing of making this for kids. So let's just go back and make sure I haven't messed all that up. But how is everybody? How are we doing? 2 of us in here, which is good to see you all. So welcome along. Are you shutting up? Let me just have a little nosy at what we're saying. Right, okay, let's change. Yeah. Okay. No, made it for kids. Yeah, my apologies. So drop me a hello in the old chatteroo, and we'll see how everybody is, who we've got, and who's about for this special edition of Dees TV, where we're going to grill the chairman on all things Dunstablians or Dunstablians, depending on if you're from the north side or the south side of Dunstable. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. But yes, let me know if you're here. Let me know if you can hear me, and welcome along to the stream. Somebody's texted me, but I can't see it. So it's probably Alishaw. He does love to text while I'm trying to stream. But hey ho, right, so there we go. I've got my live chat box. TK's there, and that's it. So welcome along, everybody. We've got some questions for the chairman. So if you have a question, don't be shy, come forward, do let us know, drop it in the chat, and we will put him to the sword. We will ask the most difficult questions we can think of and see if we can't make him squirm a little bit. But welcome in one and all. So, okay, we'll just wait a couple of more minutes because we've got a little bit. Have you posted the stream out? Yes, I've posted the stream out. It's on the socials. But thank you, TK. If you want to drop it anywhere, drop it a share the love a little bit, and we'll see how things goes. This is being recorded anyway. As part of a bigger project that we're working on. So, yes, it'll all be marvellous. And somebody is relentlessly on the text this evening. What are we saying? Oh, it's not. It's someone else streaming there. They stream a game of Snap every Wednesday and Friday night. Good evening, the Starks. Well done. Hope John is wearing his club blazer for this. I can tell you, he's ever so cash tonight. He is ever so cash in his granddad jumper. But yes, you'll get to see that. Hope we are only hearing him because he hasn't got a face for TV. Ooh, that is fighting talk. That is fighting talk. Okay, I think without further ado, it's time to bring him out into the limelight. There's a couple of us here, and we're building up numbers. If you have got a question, do drop it in the chat. Welcome along, everybody, and welcome to our chairman, John. Welcome, John. How are you?
Good evening. Thanks very much, Dickie, and thanks very much for putting me back in the limelight again.
Well, it's where you belong, my friend. It's where you belong. How's your lockdown been?
Interesting. I don't want to see any more of my dining room table. There's only so much you can take without escaping.
Of course, because you were in isolation yourself, weren't you?
Twice. Yeah.
Wow.
Early doors. My son, who's obviously plays for the under-13s now, he developed a temperature before he could test for COVID, so I locked down with him. And then my daughter we took to uni, and then she came back the following weekend to collect her car and brought back a little present with her. So, yeah, 2 lots of self-isolation.
Oh, what a nightmare. Okay, so, John, obviously we've spoken about this and we've spoken about how we'd like this to go this evening. So we're going to put some questions to you that we think the membership want to hear about. So what's happened in the last, since the last time we saw you at the AGM. And 2, we've had a few questions come in, some fun, some a little bit more serious. So we'll put those to you as well, and we'll see how we get on. I think first and foremost, though, we need to talk about the RFU's recent announcements
Yeah.
with the return of contact rugby and stage E.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Dees?
Well, it means in terms of an adapted game that we're moving further forward than we've been at any stage in terms of their return to play. Obviously, we're talking about an adapted game where we can't have mauls, we can't have scrums, but it looks like we're moving back towards competitive rugby. I've seen an email this morning that says that the first competitive games are likely to be the weekend of the 23rd, 24th of January. So we're looking at that, what we have to do in terms of supporting our senior players, because where the senior players go first, I'm pretty sure the juniors will then follow in terms of sort of scene setting around what's going on. And it's trying to work out how we can do that all, very, very safely. And I know that everyone is working towards it because it's some really positive news, Dickie.
Absolutely. Absolutely great to see some community rugby back. It's great to have put the professional game back with the Autumn Nations Cup, and fantastic to see that we were able to enjoy a partnership with Amazon Prime. To be partnered up with the big dogs like that is great for us. Great exposure, but it is great to have the community game back. But I understand that we are going to be going into a small cluster league.
Yeah, that's correct.
A little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thinking behind that, we're led by the RFU on all of these matters, obviously, because as being part of the union, they try and safeguard us in terms of COVID compliance. It's no mean task. If anybody's been down to the club, when people come down, they'll see what this actually means for us. It's massive in terms of the risk assessments that are actually involved. So we're going into clusters around local clubs. And what that means is it minimises our travel, our exposure, our risk. We've got to think about our members, our playing members, and what this means to them, because obviously we've got a number of people in different professions that we could be increasing their exposure. So if we're going to do it, we need to do it right, and we need to follow the proper guidance. Absolutely.
So my understanding is we've got 7 teams in this league, and we're going to play each other home and away.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, our first competitive fixture is at the end of January, and the RFU have extended the season through till May. 14 fixtures in just over 4 months.
Yeah.
With extra fixtures and rest weekends, it sounds like a very congested season. How are we going to manage, firstly, the pitches with both senior and minis and youth playing on them at high level of times compared to what they've been used to, and how are we going to manage our retention around players to ensure that we've got enough fit and well players to do this?
First off, let me say I'd like to think that when we move towards this, that our membership, our players are going to be really hungry towards doing this for a start, because there's been very little, isn't there? We've tried our very, very best as a club to keep people interested, keep people engaged, but this is really, really positive news. So we've got to do the best that we can in terms of maximising this opportunity. Personally, Dickie, I'm glad I'm retired. I would not want to be playing in May and hitting that deck really, really hard, even though at my slow pace that I am nowadays. So May could be really, really challenging for those of us a little bit older in the tooth or whatever. But look, we're looking at all of those sort of issues. We know the pitches need to be marked out. We've got various conversations going about that at the moment, and we're looking at all of those options. So the pitches will probably be marked in early January, to facilitate those fixtures. We've got options that we're looking at the moment, one of which is pretty much a professional groundsman that can give some really good advice around the state of our pitches and what more we can do around their longevity. But it's something that we've discussed at committee, and we're trying to rotate and do the very best we can. And if we need to invest a little bit in terms of making sure, that the pitches can be sustained, then we'll do what we can. But I mean, that's let alone taking a toll on our playing members and retention. You hit upon it. That's absolutely massive, isn't it? We've worked our way through the issues that have been posed by COVID. And I thought the most major one was going to be our financial, sustaining our financial ability, sustainability as a club. Well, we got through that, and what I worry about is, can we keep people's interest? Can we keep people engaged? And really, if we're going to move towards stage E and a return towards a more competitive game, I'm hopeful then, that will bring people out the woodwork. We've been working with the under 18s only as late as yesterday. Finally, we've been able to assess them and their suitability for playing within seniors. So that's some further real positive news. And because of the impact of COVID, I think they're going to relax some of the rules around this play up, play down that will affect people in that age group. So hopefully that should see an influx of new players, but we'd love to see people back down. The more players that we actually have, the more opportunity we have, and we can hopefully make this work for everyone. But it's going to be testing. But I'd rather be doing that, Dickie, than not playing at all.
Absolutely. And, I suppose, thinking about longevity of the club, as you've mentioned, in terms of financially, there's a fantastic opportunity there with that congested fixture list to look at more Friday night fixtures, I suppose, and things like that, where we can look at different ways of raising awareness of the club and being open.
Yeah, I'm all up for that. But I mean, alongside what's going on the playing field, we need to look at what we can do with the facilities, because the rules are pretty strict at the moment and based on the tier systems. So what can we do? At the moment, you can only have alcohol with a meal. In the best will in the world, we did that in the summer. We did an outside bar. It was really well supported. Mrs. Mead with, running the kitchen and basket meals and everything. That worked really well for us. But I'm pretty sure people don't want to sit out in -5 compared to 20 degrees in the afternoon. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've had our first question in, and we're going to fire it straight at you because it's player related, it's game related, and we've been talking about the game a little bit. Asbo is asking for a friend. It says
always for a friend, never for himself. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. He wants to know if the showers are fixed.
The showers aren't fixed at the moment, but there's been a lot of work going on in the clubhouse around actually the issues of water. We've had certain of the shower pumps replaced. We've also had some work done around the desalination of them. So that's been replaced with the water softener, in essence. We've got some work going on with timers that are going in next Tuesday so that we're not wasting money unnecessarily on heating tanks. But in essence, I can tell Asbo that we've got a tentative date in early January to replace 12 of the showers with a complete new system to actually basically be an overhaul. Now, the one thing we haven't got, Dickie, and if there are people online, is have we got any good tilers in the club? Because we're going to actually basically have to take tiles off the wall to put in this new system and address this once and for all. So if there are any tilers, I'd love to hear from them if they could help us out.
Well, I hear that Asbo and his friend will do anything for a warm shower, so I'm sure they'll pitch in. But yes. Will is suggesting that we serve a hot dog with every beer to negate the substantial meal.
Okay.
I think that's what he's saying. But
is that like a Scotch egg then?
Well, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I'm quite willing to look at it. So
hot dog and a beer for £5. I'd pay that. If that's allowed. Okay, so we've mentioned showers and we've mentioned the game, and I suppose there's a couple of questions around that that players have been asking their coaches and their managers over the course of the last few weeks. What is the RFU stance on post-game showers? Because I think what a lot of the lads are worried about is that they finish a game of rugby, then they're expected to go to the bar and have a beer or a meal without a shower. Can we put some?
I don't necessarily think it's without a shower, but I'm sure people appreciate this is a bit of a moving feast, because if you use a shower room, then it's about it's an enclosed space. It's about a number of different people. We're really lucky though, because we do have a couple of other amenities. We've got refs rooms that have got individual showers, so we might well be able to do something about that. For us, it's really important to keep abreast of what the RFU are saying, because they're issuing all sorts of advice and diktats in that relation. Tonight, actually, I've just passed the latest RFU advice around facilities, to James and Amanda from their perspective to actually have a look at and what that means. So we'll keep abreast of it. It's not an ideal situation, but if we can find a workaround, we'll find a workaround. And that might rely upon some of those ref showers and just regulating when people can go in. So,
okay,
yeah.
Sure. Hopefully that's put a couple of minds at ease then.
Yeah.
So moving on to the local community, we've between us on various interviews have talked at great length around the 50,000, the homes for 50,000 that are on their way. But during the lift of the last lockdown, myself and TK we organised a comedy event, and we flyered the local homes, the new builds around us. And what we found a lot of was that people were saying to us, "We'd love to come, but it's a members only bar, and we're not a member."
Yeah.
What are we doing to accommodate these people that we've already got, that we seem to have lost to social stigma?
Well, I think some people definitely did come down, Dickie. I was seeing, people from, the new estates when we run that open bar during the summer, people coming down, sitting down, coming to have a drink with us. I don't think we need to lose sight of, in terms of infrastructure for those new estates, there's very little that actually exists. I've spoken to the local councillor, the likes of Councillor Yvonne Fletcher, that supports us and is a big supporter of Dunstablians. So I think we need to work together with all of those. We've got a number of flyers ready to say, look, we're here and what we can do, but that needs to be timed properly in terms of that, because there's no need, so I don't want to raise the profile of the club when actually we're not fully open for business, so I really would want to embrace those new people. There's some absolutely fantastic opportunities as a result of the expansion of the local community. We've got a significant sum of money, and this is hot off the press for you, a significant sum of money as a result of that development that sits within the local council. And what I'd like to do, and I've got plans to do, working together with the committee, is go towards a bit of a consultation with our memberships in the new year. I do it now, but look, everyone's mind's on Christmas, and quite rightly so.
Absolutely.
So I want to work with our membership in January, seeing what they'd like to do, how they'd like to develop. No one can help escape that part of the club at the moment looks like the Battle of the Somme has actually taken place as a result of the work that Anglian Water have actually taken place on us to lay the new water mains for the estates. But actually, in principle, we've agreed a compensation package with them as well. So we find ourselves in a really nice position of having potentially some money to develop the club. And I really want the views of everyone that's involved about how we do that, what's really important to them, how we grow within the community, because I think we've got a lot of support with the local council, but this needs to be what our membership wants pushing forward. So in the new year, I'd love to be sending out this consultation and seeking those views. And then once we've done that, we'll probably have a bit of a meeting about, okay, what are some options moving forward and what we might need to do. And we'll put it all together, really. So,
okay. Some hefty announcements there, and that's great to see. So we're going to be consulting on potential ways of spending this new money, which is phenomenal. And you mentioned there also Anglian Water. Now they've obviously made a huge mess of the back of the club. So it's great to see. It's great to see that they're going to put that right. In terms of what's going to be done there, are we going to do anything different with that land, or is it going to go just back to grass? Or
possibly, Dickie. What I'm loath to do is, if we've got opportunity, why throw some money in putting things back as they were if we might want to do something differently? So there's certain things from, a health and safety perspective that we might want to do in the short term, but at the moment, if people know where the rear track is, that is where the equipment's basically kept, the playing equipment, through to where the new developments are out the back, that looks like even a military tank couldn't get through it at the moment. That's been hit hard in terms of the traffic upon it with the heavy machinery. We're probably going to have to do something about that. But even then, to put that right, we probably need it to be April and the ground being firmed up. So I'm sure that we can do something at the right time to best benefit us, really. So I think it's all open for discussion. It's all open for some really exciting ideas from our membership. And then let's see where we go from that. And we'll go with the consensus of opinion, really.
Brilliant. So on development opportunities, great to see some of the hard work that was put in over the summer with the concreting by Paul Fisher and his band of volunteers. You know, it was great to see, although Paul Fisher ripped them all out, it was great to see we spent 2 weekends painting the poles and getting them ready for Paul to ruin. I'm joking, Paul, if you're watching. And also fantastic to see a beautiful new wall erected and destroyed all in the space of a couple of months. So tell us
that was
about
interesting,
all of that.
wasn't it? That was really interesting. We've gone 35 years without a wall. Okay, so we try and tidy that up because we knew it was one area that we could do something about. And for those that saw it, you know, I think it looked pretty special in terms of, you know, the entrance, and we plan to do more. But yeah, that was until the point that a BMW X5 driver came flying around the corner, hit mud and a set of temporary traffic lights that he wasn't expecting, and took off and took out one of the pillars. So that's an insurance job basically at the moment, Dickie. So we had it 2 months. We've probably got to wait another 2 months, and then it will be rebuilt.
Fantastic. So, at least it's coming back, and that's the good news. Yeah. So the concrete at the front. Let's talk about that. That looks really something special. For years, people have had to traipse in mud to just sort of stand out the front of the bar and watch a game of rugby without being obstructed by our mini stadium. What brought that all about?
It been identified as being an issue for quite some time, really. You know, it's having an impact upon cleaning in the club, etc. There've been feedback around that. I mean, I have to say, Dickie, feedback's a gift. You know, so if people are telling us what's going on and what their issues are, we can actually begin to do something about it. So I've got to say a big thank you. Everyone that was involved, everyone that came to the call to arms in relation to that, led by James Alger as our volunteer coordinator, really, really grateful for that help, because when people volunteer, it then doesn't cost us as much money. It costs us the materials, thanks to the likes of Paul Fisher and his knowledge and experience. He's clearly a brave man because he let James Ellishaw on his digger, which is something that I would never, ever do. You know, so he's clearly got a bit of bravado, but then they're the results, you know, and we'd like to roll that out to a lot of different other things to improving the facilities on behalf of the membership.
Okay, so we've got a couple more questions dropping in. Oh, Rob said that there's going to be some announcements made by the RFU with regards to facilities after the 22nd of this month as to do's and don'ts. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. And Asbo's back in. Asbo is on a chat tonight. Asbo has said, have we looked at a cost for a small marquee for socializing outdoors?
Okay. Yes and no would be the answer. We've looked at a marquee in general. My concerns at the moment are how quick can they roll out these vaccinations and what will be the impact in relation to that. I want to give back as much as we can, Dickie, in relation to stuff. We've made some I'd like to think, pretty shrewd commercial partnership decisions, okay? Because we're at the heart of the community now. So what more can we do to support our memberships, okay? We've made a commercial partnership with a guy who does a lot of inflatables. So we're looking at, can we do in summer, subject to COVID, can we do things like inflatable assault courses around the rugby club, okay? We've made a commercial partnership with a guy who's responsible for external cinema. So can we have external cinema events? We provide the bar and we work together with those. So we're looking at all of those different things. And if a small marquee makes sense, then I'm quite willing to do that. But the decision might have to be made late on, depending upon whatever this vaccine regime looks like and the impact of COVID, really. So
sure, for sure. Okay. So talking about the impact of COVID, it's obviously had not just an implication at the club. It's impacted everybody's lives across the whole globe. A phenomenon not been seen like this since the Spanish flu. Clearly, it's had an effect. But how have we got through that? How have we survived? How do we look now? And what does the future hold in the short term for us?
Starting off, Dickie, I was pretty worried about where we're going to be. You know, I worked with you. You know, we worked together around that Sport England crowdfunder. And again, I've got to thank our membership. You know, people came out of the absolute woodwork in relation to that. So we were able to maximise money from that. We got a £10,000 grant from Sport England. We also worked together with the local council around rate rebates and everything. So our immediate concern was for the financial security and stability, stability for the club. And we managed to get through that. And touch wood, I think we're managing to retain a financial position, albeit it's going to take some time to get to the full benefit of being able to return to normal. So we're still being cautious of where we need to be in terms of reining in expenditure and just being prudent around that. But it's more than that, Dickie, isn't it? It's more about where we've worked together to keep our membership together. You know, the likes of the quizzes that you're doing, you know, it's massively, massively understated. You know, the social media presence, the work that you're doing with the watch-along games in terms of, you know, the Autumn Nations Cup. Doing whatever we can realistically to bring rugby back, whatever that looks like at the club, and embracing it. You know, there's been some fantastic stuff. £1,000 worth of opportunity for the club through the Budweiser scheme. You buy vouchers to go across the bar, 19 hours, and we did that. That is awesome in terms of our membership, you know, and they're buying into what we're trying to do and secure this. You know, it's my watch, isn't it? It's my watch. It's my turn to hold that baton on behalf of this generation before I pass it on to someone else. And I don't want to see Dunstablians go. Got a proud history, and you know, COVID has got a lot to answer for. We're in the middle of a bit of a rebuild about where we are. I always describe us as being a sleeping giant as a club, and I think we're just capable of so much more. So that's why I think retention is the issue that we talked about earlier, and bringing people back into the fold and doing more. So,
sure, absolutely. You know, great to hear about all the fantastic things that we did over the summer. As you mentioned, you know, the outdoor bar, the money we were able to raise quite comfortably in the end. You know, and as you mentioned to me not so long ago, at a recent meeting, we were the envy of other clubs because of the hard work that we put in as a community to raise that £10,000 to get matched by Sport England.
Yeah, it's always nice, Dickie, to be mentioned in dispatches, so they have to say, you know. So yeah, there was a national webinar. You know, we've worked together with the RFU. They've provided some really sound advice through all of this. We get updates once or twice a week about what maybe opportunities we can dial into webinars. We dialed into one recently, and as a result of the work that we did for Sport England, we actually saw what we'd been doing popped up. So we're getting phone calls from other clubs about, well, how have you maximised that opportunity? And actually that really puts us and our membership in really good light, you know, that we are a bit at the forefront and doing the thinking that we might need to do. And there's clubs, Dickie, that are in a lot worse position than us. But that's because we work together with our membership to try and address it. So, and we're not going to get all things right. And that's why, you know, I want to hear from people. I want to be able to do something about where we're at. So,
absolutely. Well, while we're talking about money and the fantastic work we've done to raise that money, let's move on to the question that is now poised on everybody's lips. How on earth are we going to spend it? So, first of all, let's talk about the state of the kit that we have at the minute.
Yeah. Okay. We made a shocking discovery, basically. Operating through COVID, we began to realise that perhaps we didn't have all the kit that we needed, because obviously if you use ruck shields and other tackle bags, they have to be wiped down between teams. So what I wanted to have a look at, and Dave Coker's coaching coordinators progressing this for us, is do we have the right level of kit? What do we need to do? in relation to that. But during the interim period where we've been shut down, it appears where we've stored it has sprung a massive leak, so to say, in terms of the container. So some of that kit is unusable. So we are looking at replacing that, and we're going through a program with the coaches about what that means. I'm committed to making sure that money is written into the budget in relation to that, so we can build on that. But clearly we're going to have to replace that container for a start. So we're looking at a new container, maybe with 2 entrances, one for the seniors and one for the juniors, so we can split this kit out and partition it. But we'll probably have to do that around the container when we start sorting out the track as well. So it should hopefully all come together, but we want people to have the right kit. But we've been still, even these challenging times, we've been doing work with sponsors. So it may well be we've got new sets of corner flags, new sets of post protectors and everything that's supported by local business as well. So, and I'm really keen. I wanted to work together in commercial partnership with a lot of these local firms. So what we've done is we asked them to sponsor us for groundside advertising, but they've seen nothing. They've seen nothing of what we can do or some of the sport that we play. So in essence, we reset the clock, as far as they're concerned. So hopefully that'll go some way in terms of goodwill. People are going to be seeing some of these new boards and everything. Well, that's valuable money and support coming into the club as well. And hopefully there's more to come.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, so Will has asked, are we still allowed to play Sparta in the members bar? Well, you're going to have to educate me on this because I've no idea what Sparta is.
Yeah, what is Sparta?
But I'm guessing that it's something to do with the 300 in the little channel. And,
okay. Depends if it can be done in a COVID-safe way.
Can you stay 2 meters apart? I think is the question that we need to ask you, Will.
Yeah.
But for now, probably not. So moving on to let's go back to some of the developments around the club. So it's been rumoured, and I don't know how much is actually out there, but there's a lot of chat amongst the membership about expansion plans for the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Given COVID's happened, we're aware that everything's going to have faced a setback. Yeah. But how big a setback has this expansion plan taken?
I think timing is massively key. I mean, who wants to commit a significant sum of money towards development if you don't know what the future looks like? The first thing we've got to do is we've got to secure, our prosperity for future generations and make sure we've got a club to come back to. I'd like to think we're there or thereabouts. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone talks about this trains coming into the station with the vaccinations and everything. So we've got to get there first, okay? But then in terms of this money, how do we best make it, work for us? And if you've got a significant sum of money that's sitting in the council, once you've got a bit of money, to double it, treble it, is not unrealistic, because you can go to the likes of Sport England, National Lottery, other funds, community asset grant schemes, speak to councillors, but we need to be committed about what we want to do, which brings me back to that. Well, what do we want to do? Because it's no good this just being a vision on my head and thinking, well, that's the best thing we want to do. Sure. No, this is a membership club. What do we want to do? Yeah. And the committee will deliver on behalf of our membership. It's everyone's club. Yeah. And if we're going to do something, we need to have a vision as a whole. So that's why the consultation is so important, but we need to time it well as well. So.
Fantastic. Okay. So you mentioned there, we need to concentrate on our prosperity, and we need to look at building a real future for the club that's going to be sustainable. Yeah. With that in mind, then, what's the 5-year plan?
Okay, well, if you ask me, when I took over last year, what I wanted to do was to lay the foundations for us to be successful. So what we did do, going back 18 months, is set a vision as a club about what matters meant for us, what was really important. And obviously, we broadcast where that was. What I don't want to do is I don't want to write any medium to long-term plans without knowing what that membership, what our membership want to do and how we wish to develop. I think we've touched a load of the bases that we needed to do and laid some foundations. But I will write a proper 5-year plan to consult with our membership as a result of the consultation, because then I know that's where people want to go. So
fantastic. Okay, so that's going to come alongside with the membership then, and they're going to be able to have their input into that. Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and I still think our vision's sound, Dickie. I mean, the vision talks about having a safe, friendly, welcoming environment for rugby to work together with commercial partners. So I think at the highest strategic level, the vision is sound about what we want to do, with working together, as being, making ourselves that community bedrock, making ourselves at the heart of everything that's going on. So I think the vision is sound, but the mechanics about how we go around doing that, any development is massive in terms of that perspective. So I think you need to work alongside those things really to lay those plans, because like I say, it's no good just it being my vision or a committee's vision. It's got to be what we want.
Absolutely. So then we are starting to come towards the end of the questions that we have for you this evening. Yeah, we've talked about pretty much all of that. Oh, no, we haven't talked about the under-18s, have we? Or have we talked about the under-18s?
I think we touched upon them, didn't we? In so much as with the positives of the route, the route and what had gone on. Then we were basically the coaching coordinator and one of the senior coaches last night, Rob, looked at them. So about can they begin to start to play senior rugby? I recognise as well, as far as these under-18s, they were left in a bit of a void, Dickie, because of what was going on. They were left in a horrible position, but hopefully we're coming out the other end of that now, and they can see, where they might well be going, because they're really important to us, as is the feed from juniors into the senior rugby setup, and that transition, because we've got a couple of other age ranges, and I'm biased because my son's in one of them, but, we're strong in numbers coming through in future years. So we need to make sure that's right, don't we?
Okay, we have got another question firing, and it's fantastic. So Will has obviously been injured for some time now, and he's just starting to come back into the club in terms of games. And he said, having been injured for a lot of the past year, I just wanted to say Nick Sinfield has been fantastic, and I personally think he deserves a new treatment bed. The head support is broken. So what support are we offering our partners within the club, such as Nick?
Okay, well, Nick's due back in early January. We've got a route map to a return, so that's already being talked about. I was unaware of that, Will, around the treatment bed. So I just need some options, and I need to know what that means, basically. And I'll take it back to committee. These what we talk about, Dickie, aren't my unilateral decisions. We take them back to committee, we talk about it, but if it's important, then these things hopefully get done. So,
sure. Talking about committee there, it's obviously a very important aspect of the club. But I think what a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last week, gathering my questions for you this evening, have said is, how do we get rid of some of the red tape around the committee? What can be done to streamline the process of decision making at the club?
Okay, I'll be interested to know, again, like I talked about feedback, what is this red tape that's perceived? Clearly, I sit, obviously towards the helm of what's going on and arbitrate around some of these decisions. But I mean, as far as players are concerned, there are player reps that sit on the committee that can take issues from, the player membership and bring them to be heard. I don't want to sit on stuff. If we can make decisions and good decisions on behalf of the club, then, they'll be supported. So if that's been said, I'd like examples of what it is so I can contextualise what the issues are. And then I'm quite happy to work out. I mean, one of the things I've thought about doing is setting out simple, who goes and speak to who? Because I think sometimes there's some confusion about who do I need to go and speak to about this particular issue to get something done. Now, if I need to put something on the website to say who people go to in the first instance, then I'll do that, because that's quite a simple task to basically get done. But if people are experiencing issues, I want to hear about it, and then let's try and do something about it.
Yeah, sure. I think the sort of thing is they feed something back, and then they ask you after, I don't know, let's say after when they know a committee meeting is going to be, and they say, oh yeah, it was discussed, but nothing's decided, and that can go on for a couple of months. Right. I think that was sort of their main frustration around that.
Okay, the one thing I would say is that I'm led to understand, well, in fact I know because I've spoken to them, that the senior players have now got their own leadership team. I've given an open invite that basically if the guys that sit on the committee that are able to influence what's going on can't make it, I'm quite happy that any other members of that leadership team can come and take their place so they can hear what's going on. Like everything, Dickie, we have to prioritise, about what's going on. But we're not bereft of money. We've worked ourselves into a reasonable situation. If things need doing, they will be done. But it sometimes needs that personal touch around what's going on to contextualise what the issue is, because we won't necessarily understand, the full impact of something unless someone can describe or set out what that situation is to us. So all I'd say is don't be shy in terms of coming forward. Don't also be surprised if you don't get everything that you want, because no one does in life. But hopefully, we'll prioritise the right things. I think we're right. I'd like to think we're on the right tracks, and we've got some exciting times coming. And some things people have waited a long time for, but we're working ourselves into that position. And I want this to be the best place that it can be. As a club, I think we're so understated. It's unbelievable. So,
absolutely. Speaking of exciting things coming. We have a fantastic stewardess and a somewhat present steward. And let's not call him more than that because he doesn't need his ego rubbed.
Not after he was in the Sunday Times on Sunday.
I saw that. Yes, I did. It must have been a different Ellishaw because he don't look that hard, does he? They're expecting a baby, and they've put it forward to Dees TV and the social community that we have at the club to decide the name of the baby.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So there's going to be a poll of I think 4 or 5 names, and they've asked if you would suggest a name to go in such poll.
Now, they've had a scan, haven't they? So they do know the sex, I assume.
I believe so. I think it's a boy.
Yeah, that would fit. You just tentatively. I think it's a boy as well. So, James Jr. doesn't really have a good ring to it, does it? So
no. I'd like to suggest Philip.
Philip, Philip's not bad. It's a bit of a royal name, Philip, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yeah. So, and maybe he can be called, unlike his father, so by his proper name. So, that's not a bad shout. If they want to keep it on the on the royal one, it could be George as well, couldn't it? So, because we've got a couple of good Georges in the club, haven't we? So,
I don't know about that. Well, there might be a couple.
About being good Georges.
About being good Georges, yeah.
I think it's a very personal thing. Whatever happens, I wish them well, the pair of them, So, and agonising over a name is really interesting, isn't it? So, yeah.
Excellently dodged. Well done, you.
Politician.
And then, okay, so, Rob has just said that, yes, it's a boy. Yeah. Okay, so finally, we're going to wrap up this evening's interview with Mrs. Mead's question.
Okay.
She wanted to go along a festive theme.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Simon, Dickie, can we ask about sporting events on TV, i.e. the boxing and Amazon Prime? Right, okay. I think I know what he's asking here. So, obviously, the club no longer has Sky Sports or BT Sports, and there are... obviously commercial licenses to be considered.
Yeah.
We can't just go out and get a Fire Stick and watch it, stream it from a website. That's obviously very illegal and we'd be in an awful lot of trouble. Yeah. So where do we stand with Amazon Prime? Because nobody really knows what Amazon Prime's commercial license looks like.
That I don't know. I'm more than willing to explore it. Obviously, we took away some subscription services early on when I took over because of our financial situation. It's something I'm willing to look at again. in terms of, you know, what we provide on behalf of our membership. I think we clearly have to be out the other end of COVID as well, though, because if we can't make best use of the Clubhouse, then what we're going to do. But I'll look at it together with the round. If it's not cost preclusive, I don't see any issues whatsoever in terms of bringing it in. But it's a new service, isn't it? It's like all of these other things. What is it? What does it mean? But we can make some inquiries.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we're going to see a lot more international rugby via that medium, and it might be well worth a look.
Yeah, no problem.
Especially if it's a cheaper option.
Yeah.
So good question, Simon. Anyway, back to Mrs. Mead's festive final question.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to leave the typo in because I think it makes for a much more interesting question.
Yeah.
She has asked that around the Christmas table, are you a leg man or a beast man?
Or beast. I think that's definitely a typo. So.
It's definitely a typo, but I don't think there's any bestiality in the Gilbert household.
No, and keeping this clean, okay, I'm definitely not a leg man, but I might go for the other option. So,
turkey chest. Well, we all like a bit of turkey chest.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, thank you ever so much for taking the best part of an hour of your evening with us. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. If anyone's got any questions, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Just
email me at chairman@drufc.com. You know, so there's also, Dickie, there's a feedback box on the bar.
I noticed this.
Yeah. So if someone's got some feedback, chuck it in. It's an absolute gift if people are giving us feedback about what wants to go on. We've got all the social media channels. We've got Twitter. There are enough people that monitor this that will give me a nudge if we're not doing something right anyway. But look, you know, I wish everyone, you know, to have an absolutely fantastic Christmas. You know, we've got 5 days coming up where, you know, hopefully as families we can make the best of what's available to us. So I wish everyone to have a really great Christmas and a prosperous new year. And let's get the hell out of 2020 because it won't be the greatest, does it? No, absolutely. And thank you ever so much for your time, John. We'll leave it there, I think, and just echo what you said. We do here at Dees TV and around the club. Want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Do stay tuned. Coming up towards Christmas, we're going to look at maybe between Christmas or just before. We'll do a Christmas quiz because otherwise I'll never get Ella Shaw off my back about that. But for now, we will see you in the near future. Thank you ever so much. Good night. There we go. Done and